Hey guys, have you guys noticed that wherever you turn, you may be watching this video and notice that wherever you turn, everybody always says, "Hey, you should be an entrepreneur. You should be someone to work for yourself, work hard, don't work for the man." Well, in this episode of the Purpose Talk podcast, I want to break down 7 ways that you know whether you should be an entrepreneur or an employee. My name is Gus, and I'm an entrepreneur myself, but I've also worked under several of outstanding entrepreneurs, and there are 7 ways that you can know which one you're meant for. So let's break this down. Thank you so much for joining us. For if you're watching live, let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, just write hashtag replay fam and let me know where you're watching from as well. Guys, I'm super excited about this episode because I feel like a lot of the times there are in today's society, we elevate entrepreneurship. There are people who say, "Yo, you have to be an entrepreneur. If not, you're not successful." And though I believe it is very awesome to be an entrepreneur, me not being a full-time entrepreneur yet, that is something that I'm working towards. But as a person who wants to be a full-time entrepreneur and is already dabbling in that for several years, I I think that we have to get to the understanding that it is not for everybody. There are certain things that you have to have in order to be an entrepreneur. Now, it doesn't mean that as an entrepreneur, the people who are entrepreneurs are better than people who are employees. It literally just means that you're wired differently. Now, there are 7 ways, and in this video, we're going to break this down, okay? So, um, I'm gonna have chapters if you're watching the replay, there'll be chapters here for you to be able to find out, hey, what are the 7 ways? So now, if you know the purpose talk, there are 7 ways. If you know the purpose talk, here we believe that if for you to be who you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do, aka your purpose, and find a career that aligns with that purpose, you have to lean into who you are, right? N- Right now, there's so many things out there. People are looking for jobs, looking for what to do. But if you don't know yourself, this is where truly you find out what it is that you're meant to do. Now, what do I mean by know yourself? And the 7 ways will fall under these 3 categories. Okay, so you have to, and within knowing yourself, you have to know your strengths, you have to know your values, and you have to know your passions. Okay, so to be a successful entrepreneur, I- I'm proceeding with this video with letting you know that these are the 3 things you have to know already about yourself. You have to understand what your strengths are, what your values are, and what your passions. And it is once you have a fundamental understanding of what these 3 things are, then you'll be able to gauge whether you're an entrepreneur. So, underneath that, the first way you can find out if you're an entrepreneur is it's underneath the strengths category, right? So I have it written down here. Um, when we talk about strengths, we talk about things that you're good at. Now, here, and I'll share in every video what it applies to, right? I've shared multiple videos now that strengths fall under 3 categories. Number one, your natural ability. Number two, your natural wiring. And number three, skills. Right? There are videos breaking this down more, how you can uncover it in later videos. You can check my channel or I'll link it in the description. Or you just look around, you'll find videos of how to find your strengths. But when we talk about strengths, the first one is natural ability. So the first way you can find out if you're meant to be an entrepreneur is literally thinking what comes naturally to you, right? Entrepreneurs and employees have different natural abilities, okay? Now, for example, I've just listed some things here. And a person who is an entrepreneur, things that come naturally to them are things like creativity. They like to start things. They're very good at spotting opportunities. Entrepreneurs, the way you lead, what comes naturally to your natural ability is making quick decisions. And they're very good at multitasking or wearing different hats. Okay. Now, when you talk about an entrepreneur, these are natural abilities that they may have, right? Starting things, spotting opportunities, making quick decisions, and wearing many hats essentially, right? I've worked as an entrepreneur right now, especially starting off early, when you're starting an online business or a brick and mortar business, right? A service, a product, whatever you're doing, there are many hats you have to wear, right? Because you're not in a position to be able to hire somebody, right, full time yet. As you grow and you start making more income, then you can leverage, okay, now that I'm making more money, I can leverage these things, right? But at first, when you're starting off, it may just be you doing multiple things, especially in online businesses, right? Um, uh, you have to pay attention. Now, well, let me go this route. As an entrepreneur, these are some of the strengths things that may come naturally to you. Now, as an employee, you are a person who you may not be always looking out for spotting opportunities or problem solving, but there is something about you that obviously any job is just basically solving a problem, but things that you may be more leaning towards. You're executing consistently. You're improving systems that are already established. You're a person that does well within a created structure already. And and the other thing that I wrote that is following through long term. So as an employee and an entrepreneur, you have different roles, which is not doesn't make one better than the other. But it just means that you're wired differently. So in natural ability, we can see that hey, you function well within a created system. You may not be creating the system. You're not the type of person that will create a whole system or an organizational development on an organizational development level. But hey, there's a system in place, you're good at executing it. Okay. So what comes naturally to you, right? Now, you have to already pay attention to see how you can find this out. What do people already rely on you for? When we talk about knowing your strengths, right? I always say that how to know your strengths, you can use outside resources, self-awareness, and you always should be in a community. You have to, especially the most powerful tool you can use to uncover anything, especially what you're good at and what your strengths are is to be surrounded by community. You have to, and if you're in a community, right, like I get to be part of a church community, then I'll say, hey, um, people usually go, hey Gus, can you do this? Or what are things that just naturally come out of you whenever you're surrounded by people? Um, and things like that. So the first way is to lean into what comes naturally to you. The second way is also underneath the strengths umbrella is how do you solve problems? Entrepreneurs create something new when there is no clear solution. Entrepreneurs are comfortable with trial and error, while employees are naturally more uh, feel more comfortable optimizing, refining, and just growing or scaling existing solutions with clear constraints. Okay, so how do you approach problems? You may not be an entrepreneur if you're someone who just, hey, like if you're at work and you're not thinking, okay, now you do solve problems, there's a fundamental level, but it's different for an entrepreneur. They like to create solutions to problems, or they like to, well, yeah, honestly, just everything falls underneath that umbrella to create solutions for problems. While an employee may just be very good and comfortable with just providing a already created solution to a problem. Yeah. So so the question you have to ask yourself with, hey, how do you solve problems? The question you have to ask yourself if you're watching this video is, hey, do I create solutions? Do I invent? Or do I improve? Right? Now, you should always have some level of creativity. I'm not saying that employees aren't creative, but which one do you lean more towards? Are you a person that you prefer to, you like to create ideas, implement them, but you're not the type of person to want to just keep doing that task. Um, as a leader, I've been a leader in restaurants, and when I worked at Chick-fil-A, I got to work with such some amazing people, right? Some amazing owners and operators within the Chick-fil-A world. And as a director, it's more of an entrepreneur, which is more like, hey, you take ownership of a certain area. And I really loved one of my favorite parts of the role when I was overseeing talent in the restaurant was really just being able to, okay, what is this problem that we're facing? Turnover, or we're facing how to keep track of employees. I would love to create documents or systems, notate them, let's implement them. But then I will have other leaders actually executing them. And they enjoy that. They were cool with it. But for me, I really got a lot of thrill and joy off of doing that first part, right? So the question is, are you more of a person who invents, or Generally speaking, are you more of a person that likes to implement, that likes to actually execute it and make some improvements as you go along the way, okay? So that's way number two. Now, as in whether you're deciding to be an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, you have to lean into your strengths, right? Which one are you more? Do your strengths reflect more as an entrepreneur or, or an employee? Sorry. You have to lean into your strengths. I believe that whatever purpose you have for this for your life, and in order to find success in that career that aligns with your purpose, you have to lean into your strengths. It's okay if you're not an entrepreneur. If your strengths are more for an employees, guess what? We need employees. And honestly, there are several professions out there that you can become extremely successful as an employee. You can become wealthy as an employee. You can find fulfillment as an employee, right? It doesn't mean that entrepreneurs are the only ones that are satisfied. No, entrepreneurs just are satisfied by different things, by different tasks. Okay, so that leads us to way number three. Now, in whenever you're deciding whether to be an entrepreneur or an employee, leaning into your strengths, you also have to understand what you're passionate about. Now, passion is simply if strengths are what you're good at, passion is what makes you feel alive. That's how I define it here at the Purpose Talk. Things that make you feel alive. It doesn't mean that it makes you feel just good and goody goody inside, though it is correlated to that. But what are people? What is a group of people? What is a cause or what is a task that makes you feel energized, right? Um, are you passionate about a group of people? Do you feel happy when you see them succeed? Or do you feel deep pain or sadness whenever you see that group of people fail? That's how you know if you're passionate about a specific group of people, whether it be by ethnicity, whether it be by age, right? I'm really passionate about Gen Z. That's why I make these videos to be able to, hey, I want to equip and encourage you to be who you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do. Um, I'm passionate about a cause. I was in the shoes of Gen Z where they are now, where I was a young professional and I felt lost. I didn't have any clarity, and that's why I'm here trying to offer clarity. So, what are you passionate about? Whether it be a people, a cause, or a task, it is that is where you get your energy. Now, things for entrepreneurs, right? I just named some of mine, but there are also other things that make me feel alive. For example, uh, I like building things. I like creating things, building things from scratch. An entrepreneur has the ability to, and the desire, honestly, where the ability strengths and the desire is where passion is, a passion to build things, to create things, to not just settle to work in an area that's already been created, but you have a natural desire to, man, I just want to create. And you when you create something, you feel awesome, right? You are a person that likes to create, that doesn't exist. You like to stay close. You're more of a macro person. What I mean by macro is big picture. You're more of a person who has a vision for something, and you will do the things that need to get done to make that vision come to pass. For me, my vision is simple. My vision is to be able to help all of Gen Z, starting here in Florida, where I'm based from, Southeast and nationwide and hopefully worldwide, to be able to uncover their purpose and end up in a career that aligns with that purpose, right? But your passion, what's important to you, what makes you feel alive is very different. And as an entrepreneur, you're more of a vision person. You are able to do tasks, but that's not what you're passionate about specifically. You're passionate about the greater picture and you're willing to do tasks for a certain amount of time until you're able to delegate it and focus more on the big picture and the leadership and the vision and the direction of the business. Yeah. So as an employee, you're passionate about contributing to a mission. Now it's important because even as an entrepreneur, I've always been a person who believes in and I've heard this from multiple people online who specifically one that comes to mind is Omar Al Takori, which he's a really big inspiration to helping people create promote their brand online. But he says that before you're able to be an entrepreneur, before you're able to create a vision and lead a vision, you have to be able to help another business or organization reach their mission and vision. So though it's important for someone, for everybody for a season in their life when you're early 20s to, hey, help another organization, another business reach their goals, because in underneath that you learn, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, as if you're an employee and you don't have that aspiration, that's that's fine, right? You may be the type of person who just is satisfied. Hey, I don't want to create something for myself. I don't want to, I didn't want to be a Chick-fil-A owner operator, right? And that's fine. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but in another way. But I was fine in the church ministries that I've served in, right? Helping the lead pastor uh, uh, achieve that mission, achieve whatever the goal of that organization was. So that may be, if you're content with that and that is what you feel satisfied in, that may be a sign you're an employee. You like to develop processes, right? And to continue to tweak them on a daily basis. Again, entrepreneurs will do this, but they always want to lean more towards the vision and the larger sense of the direction of the company or organization. Rather, you may feel like developing people and processes, hey, the daily task, right? The leaders on the operations side of a business, right? There are people who are satisfied with that, and that's awesome. We need that, right? Um, and you are the type of person that likes to support the 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 direction of where the owner or the leader of that whole organization wants to take it. And you're more of a you're comfortable supporting that vision. You don't have to create, you don't have that natural desire, but hey, you just want to support and contribute. And how do you what are some of the ways you can learn this, right? Passion is not just what you do, but it's where you do it, right? This is the principle that I learned. If strengths are what you do, passion is where you do it. My strengths are teaching. My strengths are leading, casting vision. This not only do I love it, it's thankfully people I've had a community that tells me, hey, you're really good at this, and I've leaned into those strengths. But your passion is where you do it. For me, is not just where like on YouTube that like I'm on right now, um, but realistically speaking, it's a matter of using your strengths to serve a group of people, a cause, right? For me, it's Gen Z and helping you guys find a career because there's so many videos out there, and it's something that bothers me where everything Gen Z crisis, and no, it is rough out there. Um, it's getting harder, but I think people also like to say, "Oh, Gen Z has they're doomed, they're lazy, whatever it is," and I don't believe that. That's not what I've seen. There's lazy people in every generation, I believe, right? They said it about my generation and previous generations back, right? It's every previous generation calls the next generation lazy and it sucks, right? But I believe that I want to be somebody who helps build. If you're watching this, I want to encourage you, I want to build you up and I want to help you and be a small part of you being who you're supposed to be. So your passion is where you do the thing that you're good at. If I wasn't good at teaching or communicating, or I wasn't wired for it, then I would probably be looking for somebody. I'd like to think so, right? Looking for somebody um, who likes to talk and then just support them, right, in that role, right? But use your strengths to serve the people and the cause you're passionate about. And hopefully your strengths are something that you are passionate about, because that just makes it the trifecta, right? Number four, um, entrepreneurs have different problems that they want to wake up to. So we're talking about passion. Okay, what kind of problems do you want to wake up to? Listen to this. As an entrepreneur, the problems that you may like uh uh waking up to and solving every day are growth challenges, right? Whenever you're running a business or an organization, let's say a business, right? You always are in the balance between making money and and also maintaining the organization. It's always a balance, right? You market a business. I remember there was a lot of marketing going on in Chick-fil-A and one of the restaurants that I worked in, a lot of marketing happening, and then the business would increase. And it's okay, cool. Let's figure out how to not be able to handle that, right? It's problem solving is intentional thinking. So you like to solve those problems. Uh, you like to make again major decisions. Hey, this is where the company's going. This is where the values, the core, the mission, the vision of this thing, of the organization, right? Setting the culture in the restaurant. In this case that I'm giving, right? Um, Rather as an employee, you like to focus on the processes, the systems that are in place. An entrepreneur will establish the systems, but you're executing those systems, right? Um, and 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 solving the operational tasks. It's not so much of the I don't want to say higher level thinking because I don't want it's not about underappreciating what an employee does, but you're more of a thinking. Here's the way I'll phrase it. There was a term as an entrepreneur, and as an employee that I always heard in my professional career, in my professional endeavors, where it's like you're either working in the business or you're working on the business. Working in the business, you're figuring out the details. When you're working on the business, you're focusing on, hey, what are the major things that need to happen, right? In Chick-fil-A, the owner wasn't worried about getting taken in order, right? They would do it occasionally. They had a servant's hearts and it was awesome, right? But as a owner, they would be worrying about, okay, what are the numbers? What are the things that we can implement and delegate that to the leaders to implement, right? So this is the same. This is the same thing. If you like that kind of thinking where you're working on the business, then you will probably lean more to being an entrepreneur. If you don't like that, you just like to do your task and you like the repetitive nature of it and solving the operational problems in this example, then you may be an employee. Um, both halves, you are gonna have face issues and have to solve problems on both sides, but it's what kind of problems you like to solve, honestly. That's way number four. Way number five, if you're talking about strengths, passions, now values. I think this is the most powerful one. Why will determine somebody being an entrepreneur or an employee. What are your values? What's important to you? Uh, one aspect of values is your relationship with stability, right? What's important to you? An entrepreneur, and this is why I got into entrepreneurship, and this is, I think, the most common way why people become entrepreneurs, is because your values, you value what entrepreneurship brings. For example, I value freedom. I value flexibility when it comes to my time, right? Autonomy. Like I like to work for, I like the idea of not that I don't like having a boss. I feel like even as an entrepreneur, the people who are your bosses are the people you serve, so you always will have a boss. But I value time flexibility, freedom, right? I'm a father. I have multiple things going on, and if I can create a business that I can leverage my time, that's important to me, right? Rather, as an employee, you will it's harder to do that because you're specifically tied to what you do. You are, how do I put this? You are, your role demands you being present and giving your time, uh, uh, and getting paid for your time, right? I like to leverage my time, my resources, my abilities, my strengths to be able to create something and scale something. And for me, that creates freedom, and things like that. So I like ownership. I like the idea of, hey, this is something this is mine. I've created, I dedicated my life to this, and I was able to make an impact in this area, right? Um, and it's really interesting because the values are, in a sense, I think everybody wants to be stable, but entrepreneurs more willing to, hey, even for a short term, sacrifice stability for flexibility, right? You're able to, hey, it's okay me being uncomfortable for now, but I know where this is going, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, they started off like Elon Musk's of the world or Jeff Bezos. They started off like, yo, they were living in living in a like in a bed on the floor, and they were able to sacrifice and delay gratification so much, and now they're successful, right? So you're willing to make trade-offs, instability now, flexibility now, but and it's something that you're willing to go through the difficult part of entrepreneurship when you're not making a lot of money to eventually scaling it because you know what you want. You want the ultimate flexibility of your time and your resources. When an employee, you're looking to be an employee, your relationship with stability is that you're not willing to give it up, and that's fine, right? You value security, you value consistency, predictability, and you prefer steady progress. As an employee, if I were to tell you, hey, you're probably more willing to say, hey, I want to just go to work, know how much I'm making, and then I'll go home, get a paycheck every week because that's what I value. This is my value. This is what's important to me to be able to provide for my family, which is honestly, it's a really good goal to have. Like it's fine. Um, and if that's what you want, then hey, that's what you want. But it's important to, if you're a person who's not willing to be, who values stability, then entrepreneurship may not be for you because there's going to be waves of this, right? And you have to organize your life in such a way where you can mitigate those risks so that you can survive. But as an employee, you will have a lot more stability in your week to week routine and your hours for the most part, right? Um, and there's consistency in your task for the most part, and there's again that predictability factor. Um, wanting stability, and here's what I want to shape because a lot of people nowadays will say, "Oh, that they may say, oh, that's weak. Like, come on, create something for yourself." No, that's not weak. It's just that's not what's important to that person. Wanting stability is not a weakness, it's a value. It's just important to you, and that's it. It may not be important to somebody else, and that's fine. Our life experiences, remember, our passions and our values are shaped by our life experiences. However that works out for you, that's fine. Generally speaking, I would always encourage people to not do something because of fear. But whatever's important to you that truly is a value for you and it doesn't come from fear, then hey, by all means, go for it. Understand what your values are. But understand that your values will may contribute to may determine which one you're more of a fit for. Okay? That's the fifth way. The sixth way is how you measure success. Um, as an entrepreneur, obviously people think, oh, they just want to make money. Yes, but there's more to that, right? As an entrepreneur that I've encountered, they measure success through impact. Of course, fundamentally speaking, and we'll throw this out the window, every employee or entrepreneur wants to take care of their family. Okay? Every entrepreneur and every employee wants to take care of their family. We understand that. Now that we understand that, there's other things that you value, right? That you want to, how you consider that you were successful. At least for me, you measure it through impact, right? You want to make an impact in the lives of people, right? Owners at Chick-fil-A, they understand that selling sandwiches, making chicken sandwiches is it is the avenue in which they're able to really help to really serve their community. And that's what Chick-fil-A owners are. Chick-fil-A's are so successful, right? Because the owners are serving that community through food, right? Through a practical need. Um, and as an entrepreneur, not only do you value um, impact in the lives of your customers and the lives of your employees, but you also value long-term growth and scaling and just seeing how big you can grow your business or your organization. But as an employee, you measure success through contribution. You measure success through mastery, through sustainability, and feedback from your leaders. Um, Fulfillment, when we talk about what makes you feel fulfilled, it's honestly just more than money. We understand everybody wants to provide, everybody wants to be financially either wealthy or hey, some people just want to be uh, uh, taking care of their basic needs met, very frugal, right? And that's fine. But fulfillment is more than money. That's what here I believe Gen Z is the generation which I love, absolutely love. Gen Z is the first generation that truly, not the first generation, but they're a generation that uh, has more intentionality between not just working for money and trading your time for money, but just wanted to create an impact and feeling satisfied with the work you do and the impact you're able to give the people you're looking to serve or the cause you're looking to serve. Um, and for you, it's and the second way, I'm sorry, and the seventh way that you will know that you want to be an entrepreneur, that you're meant to be an entrepreneur is integration. Alignment over titles. I wrote alignment over titles. What does that mean? I want to write this down because it's really impactful as I was meditating on this topic. It says the goal is not to become an entrepreneur or an employee, right? An entrepreneur, an employee, whatever you decide to do, in order for you to know which one you're meant to do, you have to align your strengths, your passions, and your values. Because guess what happens when you're misaligned, right? You're gonna get burnt out. You're gonna get burnt out. But when you're aligned with your strengths, values, and passions, you're gonna find ultimate career fulfillment. Entrepreneurs and employees, listen, one is not better than the other. I believe we're all created wired a certain way we're given different natural abilities, different natural wirings, and our life experiences shape our passions and our values. And you have to be in tune with that, right? I've worked with young professionals, and I've been one not too long ago where, hey, over a decade ago, hey, I encountered that I want to be an entrepreneur, and for me, the value was I just love to create. As a Hispanic man, I'm really passionate about employing my fellow Hispanic brothers or anybody, right, who needs a job being able to provide opportunities for people to take care of their families. That's something super important to me. What's important to you? Do you have that? And if you don't, it's fine. M- It just means that you've lived a different life than I have, which is totally fine, right? We've all different life experiences. Your values are come from the good moments in your life and the bad moments in your life. Your passions as well. What's important to you? What makes you feel alive? It's naturally correlated to what you've lived through. No, what I wouldn't hear the purpose talk, it's all about alignment. I want to help you discover what your purpose is and find a career that aligns with that purpose, right? Even while, like, if you look in the description below, this video is sponsored by the Career Confusion Diagnostic. I believe there's so many people out there because I was one of those people that were just confused. Hey, I feel lost. I don't know where to go. I don't know what my strengths are. I don't. There's so many jobs out there. I don't know which one to pick. That's why I created the Career Confusion Diagnostic, which this video is sponsored by. It's a quick 2-minute assessment where you can take it and understand exactly why you feel stuck. And not only are you going to know why you feel stuck, but then it's going to give you actionable steps it's going to give you next steps that you can take to find your purposeful career and to just find alignment, honestly. Because I believe that if you're watching this and you're still watching this, you are a real one. This is what we're all looking for. If you're looking to just to make money, I have videos that can help you, but at the same time, this channel is not really, is not for that kind of person, right? This channel, I'm sorry, is for the person that's looking for purposeful work, for purposeful career. You have to understand what your purpose is, and a career that aligns with it will come following after. And I believe that's found when you lean into your strengths, lean into your passions and your values. Um, so you can click the link in the description for the Career Confusion Diagnostic. Take it. There's also a free guide. In there, it's the Strength Finder worksheet where it has some questions that I ask for my coaching clients. Hey, when you're trying to uncover your strengths, these are things you can take. Um, and 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 honestly, it's been really helpful to me, these questions, and I want to give it to you for free and for you to do the work right in your community, and things like that. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will be seeing